In a martial arts movie, fighting looks like a perfectly choreographed dance. But in a real physical altercation, you get pure, unpredictable chaos. If you want to learn self-defense or understand what is happening inside a combat sports cage, that chaos gets confusing fast. You are immediately confronted with a massive list of disciplines, karate, krav maga, jujitsu, with almost no context for how they actually work. But human combat is a strictly mechanical process. If we strip away the Hollywood myths, these fighting styles organize themselves onto a spectrum of 5 distinct biomechanical families, each engineered to solve a specific physical problem. By examining these disciplines as strategic solutions, rather than random traditions, we can map out exactly why we fight the way we do, and figure out which style is actually the most effective. The first problem you face in an altercation is managing distance. Keep your opponent at bay, stay on your feet, and deliver damage. This is the domain of the striking arts. Western boxing offers the most specialized solution to this. By actively restricting a fighter's weapons to only 2 fists, the sport forces athletes to master the physics of transferring kinetic energy. Power starts at the toes, twists through the hips, and explodes through the knuckles. But if you want a longer range of attack, traditional empty hand systems like Japanese karate and Korean taekwondo engineer their mechanics around the legs, generating explosive, linear kicking speed capable of hitting targets before they can close the gap. Then there is Muay Thai. Deeply tied to cultural rituals like the pre-fight Wai Kru dance, fighters wear a sacred Mongol headband into the ring. Mechanically, it operates as the art of 8 limbs. Fighters weaponize their shins, elbows, and knees to deliver highly damaging blunt force trauma from almost any standing angle. Striking is incredibly efficient for distance, but gravity always wins. When an altercation inevitably pulls 2 people to the floor, strikes lose their mechanical advantage. Once you are dragged to the floor, kinetic energy and footwork disappear. To survive here, you have to solve for gravity. Ancient humanity figured this out early. Greek pankration and early wrestling introduced systems based entirely on physical domination, establishing a low center of gravity to execute takedowns and pin opponents. Centuries later in Japan, judo refined this concept into the gentle way. Instead of forcing a takedown with raw strength, a judoka grips an opponent's heavy jacket, or gi, and uses the attacker's own momentum against them to bypass their balance entirely. When combat hits the ground, it requires a different toolset. The samurai of feudal Japan developed early jujitsu because punching steel armor breaks your hands. They engineered joint locks and pins to neutralize enemies when they lost their weapons. In 1914, a Japanese judo master taught these ground techniques to a local Brazilian named Carlos Gracie. Carlos and his brother Elio isolated the mechanics of leverage, engineering a system specifically built so a smaller, weaker person could physically fold a larger attacker using chokeholds. This became Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. By isolating specific mechanical advantages, grappling arts provide a system where a sequence of precise physical transitions can reliably neutralize an opponent's raw power. Empty hands are great, but historically they were a last resort. To survive lethal armed combat, societies developed structured weapon arts, preserving historical sword tactics through Olympic fencing in Europe or kendo in Japan. In the Philippines, systems like Kali and Eskrima take a highly pragmatic approach. Practitioners learn to wield rattan sticks and knives first. They map out the geometry of an attack, learning the exact angles a blade will travel. Once the practitioner internalizes those angles, they drop the weapon. They translate those exact same geometric principles directly to their empty hand blocks, strikes, and deflections. For decades, martial artists argued in gyms and dojos about which of these ranges was superior. In 1993, the Ultimate Fighting Championship threw athletes from every discipline into a cage with almost no rules to find out. A relatively lightweight Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner named Royce Gracie won the tournament by easily taking down massive strikers and submitting them. This single event proved you cannot survive without a ground game, birthing mixed martial arts. Today's MMA athletes must be superhumans, generating both the explosive speed of a striker and the immense maximal strength of a grappler. But while MMA, or reality-based systems like Krav Maga, solve for external threats and physical destruction, they completely ignore the lifelong toll that fighting takes on the human body. This brings us to a side of combat rarely seen in action movies, the internal arts slow human movement down entirely. Instead of focusing on outward damage, they solve for self-cultivation, deep breathing, and physical balance. Tai Chi originated as an ancient Chinese martial art. Today, millions use its mechanics as a moving meditation, promoting longevity and cardiovascular health. Similarly, the Japanese art of aikido focuses heavily on spirituality. Its practitioners learn to neutralize an attacker's forward energy, using complex wrist locks and circular throws to redirect aggression without causing severe bodily harm. These Eastern traditions frame combat as a tool for personal development. Here, the objective shifts from external destruction to the internal mastery of one's own emotions and the preservation of the body over a lifetime. So, with all these options laid out, which martial art is definitively the best? The answer depends entirely on the problem you want to solve. If you want high-level cardiovascular fitness, you find a striking gym. If you want to understand mechanical leverage, you step onto a grappling mat. If you want peak athleticism, you train MMA. And if you seek peace and physical longevity, you practice the internal arts. At their core, every single one of these disciplines is a carefully constructed system. They are built to instill deep respect, command focus, and push you past your perceived physical limits. Ultimately, the best martial art in the world is simply the one you enjoy enough to practice consistently. Pick a discipline, show up every week, and turn the mechanics of fighting into a discipline of living.